Feeling good, feeling great, feeling good. How are you? Welcome in. It is a Tuesday on Timeline T. I am your host, the Sam D, aka Sam May Jr. Oh, it's Tuesday, and Tuesday we're kinda in the bridge of, is there something to talk about? Is there not something to talk about? What's a legit story? What's just hype and innuendo? All of that is upon us as there is tea. Is it hardcore tea? Not so much, but it's enough that I think, doing some research, unearthing some takes, I think we got enough to do a stream today. So we'll bring the music down. As you see down there on the topic bar, and I appreciate the likes early. Keep those likes coming in. I appreciate you. Oh, Alexandra's here early. Tampa Bay was good. We got some things to talk about there for sure. Let's see. Top billing was good. Thank you for tapping in. Appreciate you. As y'all see on the topic bar, Ross Tucker, former NFL lineman, does a podcast. He kind of hops around a few networks to, spew his expertise. He has some things to say, not only about Odell Beckham, kind of threw some stuff in there about Lamar Jackson, but mainly he focused on OBJ. We will get to that. Oh, Lombardi Leap is in the house. Was good, Lombardi Leap. Thank you for tapping in. It's been a minute. You see that there? Bring the Heat is in the house. Okay. I like that. We're getting some of the same people pulling up. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are helping me build this thing, so I appreciate it. So we have the Ravens here. Ross Tucker made some comments. We will get into that. Also, you see Chris Sims has some things to say about Will Anderson. He was ranking linebackers and ranking edge rushers. He said a thing. Now, I will tell you this as someone in the sports media. I think I even explained a lot of it yesterday. So for those who missed it, you could tap in there. But just to get to the right point of it, it's the time of year where every day somebody has to say the thing. Who's going to give the shows something to talk about that could be controversial, hot takey, whatever? Chris Sims said the thing today, and we will get into that. And then you have the Detroit Lions and the Atlanta Falcons. A trade was made. A lot of people feel a way about the trade. A lot of people are examining the Lions and the Falcons off seasons. We will tap into that. Also, I'll throw this out here early. Are any of y'all going to drop the bread to get Sunday Ticket here on YouTube? It's a safe space. I ain't no snitch. Just saying, who's going to drop that big bread that it's going to take to get NFL Sunday Ticket here on YouTube TV? I'll save my thoughts for a little bit later, but feel free to drop that in the chat. How many of y'all are going to drop the bread necessary to have NFL Sunday Ticket live and direct on YouTube? But we shall begin with Ross Tucker. So now everyone has their opinions on what's going on with Lamar, what's going on with OBJ, and that contract that OBJ signed, $15 million fully guaranteed with incentives that can make it 18. A lot of people have some thoughts, but Ross Tucker has a podcast. You want some clicks, you want to do some advertisements, you want to have sponsorships. You know what you got to do. You got to jump out that window and say the thing. So what did Ross Tucker do? He did the thing. Now, I'm not going to play the clip because I'm pretty sure there'll be some audio, and you see that there's some advertising here. We're not promoting that for the free for no Ross Tucker. So you see what he says here. Maybe the worst contract I've ever seen the Ravens give out. This has to be about Lamar Jackson. And he went on to explain how the receivers in this class in free agency have all signed for about 11 mil. Alan Lazard. Who else did he mention up? He named all the receivers that have signed. So not really a top class, but he used that as a reference point. He's basically saying OBJ has been hurt. Why would you pay this man $15 million when Alan Lazards of the world are getting $11 million? Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to cape up for why OBJ got 15 mil. I'm just going to sit here and ask y'all this. Why would someone who would say this would also go on to say this the day before? giving Lamar the Deshaun Watson contract greater than giving OBJ 15 million guaranteed for 1 year. So he's essentially saying, I'd rather give Lamar Deshaun Watson money. So, 5 years, 230 M's. I'd rather give him that than give OBJ 15 million guaranteed for 1 year. Sounds like somebody is trying to get some clicks. But I will head to the chat. All right, let's see who we got. Alexandra's pulling up. Thank you so much. Tampa Bay. Let me know when you're ready. Todd Billin pulling up. Todd Billin, appreciate you. Lombardi Leap. Lombardi Leap's in the house. Bring the heat. Out here. Todd Billin. Rumor is Ravens are interested in Mike Evans. Well, someone in the chat is a Tampa Bay fan. I will let her speak to that. I have heard some Ravens. I have heard some rumors in regards to Mike Evans. I haven't heard Ravens, but I have heard rumors about Mike Evans. So maybe we're hearing some of the same things, maybe just with different teams. I don't know. Lombardi Leap, OBJ to the Ravens means Corey Davis to the Packers. Lombardi Leap, there is a tweet that I found, and I'm glad you pulled up today because there is a tweet that I saw on the timeline. I said, oh, let me keep this tweet in the tuck in case you pulled up today, because there's some budgeting things we have to figure out with how cheap your organization is right now at paying receivers. So I'm glad you're here. Hang tight. I will definitely have that tweet pulled up very soon. Bring the heat, please, to fifth. Yeah. I mean, it's still always a safe space. Always know that. It's always a safe space here, but I get it. Alexander, I'm not dropping that kind of money. Okay. Alexander's putting her name on it. Respect that. And she's also, okay, Mike Evans isn't going anywhere. Okay, see, that's the type of talk I want to hear from a fan of a team. Okay, respect that. Also, I mean, we do need the cap space, but Mike Evans ain't going to go for a trade to just anywhere. Agreed. But I mean, I'll tell you what, Alexandra, Baltimore's becoming very appealing now. It's the OBJ effect. The OBJ effect. Wherever he goes, guys just like OBJ, and guys want to be around OBJ. They want to play with OBJ. It can turn into a thing if those rumors are substantiated. I think Mike Evans could be moved. I've heard some teams in the AFC outside of the Ravens, maybe that division, but I don't want to jump out the window and say certain things yet, because around this time, again, sometimes you can't trust everything you're being told, everything that you hear. Sometimes, rumors are just being floated out there just to make news, just to get clicks. As we see Ross Tucker out here saying he'd rather give Lamar Jackson the Deshaun Watson contract instead of giving OBJ 15 million guaranteed for 1 year. This is where we're at. Is this hot taking gone bad? Is there any validity? Would any of y'all on the same type of time as Russ Tucker? Let me know in the chat. Would you give Lamar Jackson the Deshaun Watson contract and not give OBJ the 15 million for 1 year? Do you understand this line of thinking? Because all he's saying is Alan Lazard got 11 million. Why is OBJ getting 15? Well, OBJ's a better player. That's why. So it's a real cut and dry answer as to, if you're asking the question, why is OBJ getting 15 mil? Because if he's healthy, he's better than any wide receiver that was a free agent this year. Hard stop. Like, we're talking about Nelson Aguilar, we're talking Lazard. Like, who are we talking about? There was no big prize free agent in terms of wide receiver. It's OBJ. That's it. Unless you're going to make a trade for Mike Evans, unless you're going to make a trade for DeAndre Hopkins, it's OBJ. So at his peak, at his ceiling, which we know he's probably not at his top peak anymore, but I think him at 90% is better than Alan Lazard. I think OBJ at 90% is better than, 100%, 110%, 150% of Nelson Aguilar. What are we talking about? Hot taking gone wrong. Lombardi leap. No Corey Davis. I'm saying Corey Davis is staying with the Jets because the Packers are cheap at the moment with all this Rodgers dead cap. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean, I think there is something to the cheapness. And let me see. Do I have that pulled up? I have it here in my tabs. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find this real quick, just so we can give. I would like Lombardi Leap's opinion on this. I'll go to this early. The Packers have the NFL's least expensive wide receiver group in the NFL. The entire group is combined to only make $5.5 million in 2023. The whole group. Now, yes, they got some youngins on rookie deals and whatnot, but that's just, and this is what makes the Ross Tuckers of the world go crazy, because you have a whole wide receiver group, 5-6 guys, and it's only $5.5 million. Meanwhile, OBJ, Odell Beckham, is getting $18 million with 15 of it guaranteed. Now, again, that's nitpicking the numbers there, but in regards to, you can have a whole wide receiver group, or you can have one dude. What are you doing? How are you spending the money? So on and so forth. So this is where it is. The Packers have the NFL's least expensive wide receiver group in the entire National Football League, making only $5.5 million. We will let Lombardi Leap get off whatever his hot takes are in the chat, but that's where we're at with that. So as y'all see, your man's here, Ross Tucker, maybe the worst contract I've ever seen the Ravens give out. This has to be about Lamar Jackson. So I listened to the clip, and part of it also is, they're trying to bend over backwards for Lamar. And he kind of insinuated that they shouldn't be doing that. And he kind of said, what happened to the Lamar trade request? Well, clearly it's been over a month. If we're going by the timeline of Lamar Jackson, he said on March 2nd, he requested a trade. It is April 11th. It's been 5 weeks. Clearly, little to nothing has happened. And clearly we're looking at, if anything's going to happen with Lamar, it's going to be post-draft. I still don't think he's going to be traded. I don't think any of these teams have the balls to sign him to an offer sheet. So I think he's going to have to eventually end up to just pulling up and taking that franchise tag for 32.4 M's. However, to incentivize him to do that, I think they have to make moves like this. And this is something I spoke about even before the alleged trade request, is that if you want him to take a standard deal, you're going to have to incentivize him to do so. And to do so, you have to give him better help than you have given him in the past. Okay? So he's had mid help the entire time he's been a Baltimore Raven. He's been in his 5th, 6th year. It's been mid. We went through the list the other day. Willie Snead, Seth Roberts, Sammy Watkins. We ran down all the failed receivers that the Ravens have put for Lamar Jackson to throw to. So if you want him to stop demanding or to curtail or to push down the road the notion of him standing firm on, I want fully guaranteed money or I'm going to sit at home, then you better give him some help. I'll show up. I'll take this 32.4 fully guaranteed, by the way, because it is the franchise tag, 32.4 fully guaranteed. And yeah, all right, now I'll pull up with OBJ and we'll see what we can make the most of it. Because he's basically on the same type of deal as OBJ. It's a 1-year deal. Sign the tag, 1-year deal. Then we revisit all of this again next year. Alexandria, I love Mike Evans. Yeah, he's top tier. He's top tier. Future Hall of Famer already. I said it. Bring the heat. Devin White wants out now. Yep, I have that in the tab. We definitely have a tab with the Devin White stuff. And remember, don't forget, and I'm sure Alexandra knows this, Warren Sapp was talking real greasy about Devin White not that long ago, was breaking down film and showing how he was insinuating Devin White was giving up on plays. So, I think Devin White is really, really good. And he was the big part of why that defense was so great when they won the Super Bowl. However, with all the pieces kind of being moved on from that defense, now he has to shoulder a lot more to load. Can he handle it? Is he tired of handling it? Hence, he wants out. We will get there. We will talk about it. Todd Monken was the OC of the Bucks and worked with Mike Evans. There is a connection there with OBJ going there, will entice other guys. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to that. We spoke about Mina Kimes, who we trust a lot here. That this is a pro Mina Kimes YouTube channel on this side of the street. And she said, even without an additional weapon, if they just stand pat with Bateman, OBJ, Mark Andrews, JK, and Lamar, that offense should be able to put up points. I'm inclined to agree, but there's a lot of ifs in that. And if was a spliff, we'll all be high, right? So I think there's going to have to come to a point where I would overwhelm this roster with talent. I would go and try to add another receiver, whether it's a Mike Evans, whether it's a DeAndre Hopkins, whether you go in a draft with that 22nd pick overall. I would even try to see if I could do something there. And something that I was able to look up, a big part of Monken's offense is also dual tight ends. So now could that 22nd pick with Myers from Notre Dame, could he be in play at 22? Because if Monken's going to be out here, he likes to have a balanced offense, run, pass, multiple formations, multiple tight end formations. That could be a thing where we know what Mark Andrews can do, even when it's just him and Lamar. Now, when you have OBJ being able to eat up parts of the field, Bateman, again, assuming health, eating up parts of the field. If you can add another dynamic weapon who can work the middle of the field, find the seam, find the soft spot in the zone, now those running lanes are going to become even bigger for Lamar. You can't just sit a spy. Can't do it. So it'll be interesting to see what the Ravens do. The Ravens now, that 22nd pick has a lot of weight to it now. Bringing in OBJ, assuming health of Lamar and Bateman and JK, and then understanding and learning this Monken offense, that 22nd pick will really go very far into letting us know what type of time the Ravens are on. Alexandra. Devin White's numbers declined, but I can see why some guys went out with Todd Bowles at the helm. Yeah, Todd Bowles, man. I saw a lot of him here in New York, and it was rough to say the least. I ain't gonna lie, I might become a Ravens fan if Mike Evans goes there. Hey, I ain't mad. I hold no allegiance to no team. So if you really love Mike Evans, like you said earlier, and that's what you want to do, I support that. I'd rather a fan support a individual player than a whole ass team. But that's just me. Thomas in the building. Devin come back to the boot. So again, I told y'all Thomas is a big LSU guy. He's also a big Saints guy. So that's the type of time he's on. Let's see who else we got. Lombardi. Okay, so he's responding to the whole thing of them having a whole ass wide receiver group for $5.5 million. The Packers need to draft a wide receiver in round 1 or 2. Drafting a tight end is not going to fix anything besides giving Jordan Love a safety blanket. Well, he needs that, right? He kind of needs that. And if you're going to get all those multiple second-round picks from the Jets on draft night, allegedly, then you're going to have 3 picks in the second round. You got 3 picks in the second round. You could really do some damage. I think that's where, as much as the Aaron Rodgers thing is not ending well, right? The fact of the matter is you have a incumbent QB in Jordan Love who you don't really have a definitive answer yet, but you don't have a lot of examples of him being trash, right? So you're kind of optimistic about what Jordan Love can be. You saw some progress with especially Watkins and those young receivers last year. So it's not like the cupboard is completely bare. It's a soft rebuild. It's not a full rebuild, in my opinion. You still got those two running backs in Jones and Dillon. Like, to me, I don't think the cupboard is that bare for the Packers where if you go ahead and overwhelm, again, I think that's going to be the key for a lot of NFL teams going forward. You can no longer just depend on, well, we have a quarterback and we have a receiver and a running back. No. You need multiples of everything. You need multiples of everything, right? Like, you need 2 to 3 really good receivers. You need 2 good tight ends. You need 2 or sometimes even 3 good running backs. Like, you can't get away with just, I got 1 good receiver, 1 good tight end, 1 good running back. That was cool like in the 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s. You can't get away with that no more. You have to be able to exploit mismatches all over the field. And if you only have 1 guy here and another guy over there, you can still scheme against that. But if you got 3, like the Bengals, run out there with 3 guys who you could arguably are all number 1 receivers. You have, the Dolphins with 2 number 1 quality receivers. You have the Eagles with 2 number 1 quality receivers. You have the 49ers with, Debo is, I don't even what you classify him as. He's just a player. He's just a weapon. He could be a number 1 receiver. He could be a number 1 running back. You got Kittle. You got Ayuk. You got McCaffrey. You need to overwhelm from an offensive standpoint in today's NFL. So you can't just rest on your laurels of, well, we have a number 1 receiver and we got a stud running back, or we have a really good tight end, and away we go. That's not going to get it done. No more. Tanya in the house. How you doing, Tanya? Lamar not getting traded. He will ball out and get him weapons. Then he will wait for Burrow, Hurts to get paid, and he will be at it again. He said at a rap concert, I won't fold. Okay. Hey, I respect it. If he holds firm, go out there, take the 32.4 fully guaranteed. You got OBJ. Show them you could pass the ball in this balanced offense, not this Greg Roman RPO you to death offense. There's going to be some play action. It's going to be heavy play action in this Monken offense. Okay, I've been trying to read up on Monken as we've been doing so much Ravens stuff. So I'm trying to get up to speed on what's going on with the Ravens. Monken's offense is very balanced, very heavy play action. And I'm telling you, the multiple tight end thing, that could be a key as to what they do at 22. Because remember, they have no second round pick. They don't pick again until, I believe, late in the 3rd round. So that 22nd pick is kind of it for them in terms of chance to bring in a dynamic top tier guy unless you strike gold late in the 3rd round. Top billing. We good on tight ends. We got Likey, who is a tight end wide receiver hybrid. We need to draft another receiver. Okay, so you want to go 22. You want to go wide receiver at 22. Now again, I don't know if you want to believe it, Top Billing, but we had reports yesterday of them saying there's not a lot of good receivers. There's only 1 receiver in this draft class that has a 1st round grade, and that's JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State. So no Quentin Johnston. No Jordan Addison. We had some Jalen Hyatt love yesterday in the chat. Like, none of those guys. All those guys, what was it, Zay? Forgetting his last name. Is Zay got some love in the chat as well. So all those guys, the alleged scouts, analysts are saying don't get 1st round grades. So if we're to believe them, it's highly unlikely that the Ravens would do it at 22 unless they're just saying we're just going to do the reach. Do you reach at 22 and just take a receiver? And if you do, which receiver do you want? because we've been have the same mock draft this whole time. And Smith and Jigma at 12. And then, where is he? Yep, Quentin Johnston at 23. So, in essence, the Ravens will be passing on Quentin Johnston or Jordan Addison at 25 out of USC. So, we've been seeing the same names, but then you have all the other guys here. Where they at? Zay Flowers. That's the last name, Flowers. Zay Flowers here. Where's Jalen? Jalen Hyatt to Green Bay. So there you go, Lombardi leap, according to this mock draft. Jalen Hyatt to Green Bay. But yeah, that's where we've been at in regards to trying to navigate this whole thing. Todd Billin, I believe Lamar Jackson will play again this year, especially with OBJ. He's going to get his stats up. Be ready to negotiate again once Burrow and Herbert get paid. But here's the thing. Once you get on that franchise tag wave, why would Lamar want a long-term deal if he balls out this year? Because if it's about the guaranteed money, the next 2 years are going to be guaranteed money. Assuming he gets tagged, well, he's tagged this year. If he balls out this year, going into next year, I think it would be wise for him to just take, assuming the Ravens do the exclusive tag and not the non-exclusive like they did this past offseason. If they do exclusive tag, that's going to be about 45-ish million guaranteed, and then he could walk. Because again, if he balls out, OBJ's on a 1-year deal. Are you willing to roll the dice again for a second year that not only Lamar is going to be healthy, but also OBJ is going to be healthy, and have him prove it again? Is this 1 year in an offense that's going to be built more towards a pro style, not necessarily pass first, but a more balanced passing attack? Is that 1 year all that the Ravens really need to give him everything that he wants? I don't think that's the case. I could be wrong, but I just don't feel that that's the case. I think there's something more to it. I don't think the simple addition of OBJ with Lamar for 1 year is now all of a sudden going to make Bashadi and them, bend over and say, I just don't see that. Let's see, back to the chat. Alexandra, the Chiefs. Thomas Hill's big loss. Lombardi leap. I hope Jordan Love is good, but it would be remarkable if the Packers weren't able to get back-to-back starting caliber QBs in 30 years. I mean, yeah, that would be a hell of a draw. You could go a whole lifetime and never know mediocrity at the QB position. That would be impressive. Alexander Tom Mungan is incredibly balanced offensively. The Chiefs are another team that have multiple guys that can do it at multiple positions. Agreed. Yes. Now, they lost one in McCole Hardman, and, I was never a big Juju guy, but yes, they still have guys left there. McKinnon, if they can find a way for Edwards-Helaire to do anything, to do something, he's a guy that could also, be, the guy that could do multiple things. So, yeah, I agreed. Bring the heat. There is a lot more talent in the second round than there is in the first round. Okay. I mean, certainly at the wide receiver position, if we're believing there's only one with a first round grade, but if you're talking about overall, then that's something I would like to track that. Lombardi leap. I'd be more than happy with JH if we don't get JSN. Okay. So Jalen Hyatt. Okay. Thomas Monk was a big loss for Georgia. Yeah, for sure. Agreed on that. Okay, you see, caught up on the chat. All right, cool. Let's see where we at. So we have this comment from Ross Tucker towards OBJ with some little indirect stuff at Lamar Jackson. Let's move to another blue check boy who jumped out there. Another former player / blue check boy who's now in the media and is being bestowed with the analyst tag because of their last name and their proclivity and who they know in the organizations and stuff like that. So Chris Sims, he did a thing. My rankings for edge prospects in the 2023 draft broke it all down on his podcast, right? So again, he's setting it up to let you know I'm trying to push y'all to my podcast. So Tyree Wilson is tier 1. So Tyree Wilson, tier 1 in terms of edge prospects. That's not that big of a hot take. Tyree Wilson, what? I think that he was second off the board in this mock draft we always reference. Let's see. Yeah, Tyree Wilson, he's the 5th pick. Will Anderson at 3, but Tyree Wilson at 5, right? So, okay, that's fine. Lucas Van Ness. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend to y'all like I know a lot about him, but I will fall back. Nolan Smith, definitely know him. Georgia, watched him all year. Tier 2. I'm okay with that. Will McDonald IV. I've been learning about him. I'm not so mad at that. But here's where you know someone is trying to get clicks for their podcast. All y'all ready? Will Anderson as a tier 3 edge prospect. Now, I'll just say this. If y'all been keeping up with the streaming, most of y'all have been consistent in pulling up. But for those who haven't, I haven't been the biggest Will Anderson Jr. guy. Only from the sense of I don't know if I truly believe he's an edge rusher, especially at the NFL level. I think at Bama, they moved him around a lot. He played linebacker as well. Like, I actually prefer him at linebacker, but I get it. It's sexier to have him as an edge. He can make more money in the league as edge. Some of his skill sets can translate at edge, so I understand it. To me, though, I would not take him looking for him to play edge for me. That does not mean, however, that he is the 5th edge prospect in the draft. I would have him in tier 2. But again, all of this is just to get clicks for Chris Sims' podcast. But this is where we're at, where it comes to who's going to say the thing. So Ross Tucker said the thing to push people to his podcast. Now we have Chris Sims saying the thing to push people to his podcast. And this is the name of the game. Who's going to jump out the window and say the controversial thing or the thing that gets to people say, what? And then people click and they go listen. So, and as you always see, there's always a link right after the fact. See? Link to the audio. Link to the video. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to say the crazy thing. And by the way, here's the links. Listen to the whole thing. So, yeah. What do y'all feel? Tyree Wilson, I don't have a problem with that. I think I'm more inclined to agree wholeheartedly with Chris Sims on Tyree Wilson. I do not agree that Will Anderson is the 5th best edge prospect, even though I myself would not draft Will Anderson Jr. for the edge. He's not the 5th best. Like, relax. What are y'all saying in the chat? Top billing. Dang, I forgot the Chiefs lost Hardman and Juju. Who else they got left? Well, obviously Kelsey, right? And they got McKinnon still. I don't know what they're going to do with Edwards-Helaire, but let's see. Didn't they sign, they've made some signings. Let me see. Let me come off the screen. Let me take a quick look. They definitely had made some signings, right? Kansas City Chiefs, where are they at? There they go. I mean, they still got Valdez Scantling. They still got Kadarius Toney. Still got Sky Moore. Can I interest you in a John Ross? Can I interest you in a John Ross? There's not a lot here. Richie James, they signed last week. So, yeah, like this looks like a mid group, right? But here's the problem. This looked like a mid group last year and he won the damn Super Bowl. They found a way to make Juju look competent. They found a way to make Valdez-Scantling look really good. They went and traded in season for Kadarius Toney. They found a way to occasionally work in some stuff with Sky Moore. Now John Ross, now Richie James, like they're bringing in a bunch of guys who, like Richie James was on the cusp of doing something with the Giants. Whether you want to believe that skill set is going to translate, I don't know. But he's a guy that can do some things. He's a guy that can be a little bit dynamic. He's got some wiggle, just like Kadarius Toney. But back to your man's Chris Sims. Let's see. I'll hit the chat first. Bring the heat. I think there are more picks worth. There are more picks that are worth it in the second round. You have guys who are in the top 8, but after that, it's kind of all over the place with some of these guys. Yeah, for sure. I think this draft, more so than some of the more recent ones, is definitely going to be a draft by need type draft. It's going to be a draft by need. The whole best player available thing, I don't think that plays too tough after like the top 10. Now, GMs and front office people and coaches are going to say this was the guy. This guy was a steal. Like whoever's going to be the. Let's go. Let's see. Like you can for sure. Let's pick a number. Like okay, 21st pick. You can pretty much guarantee the verbiage is going to be, we can't believe this guy was available. He was a steal. You know, we would have moved up to get him. Like, you know, all the cliche stuff is going to be coming, you know, post-draft. Like, you know, I can't believe this guy was available. He was at the top of our board. You know, he had a top 10 grade. Like, it's going to be all this stuff. Every pick is going to look like a steal to them. Great value pick. Like, we could do a bingo board of all the cliches, like, post-draft, when these teams lie to you and try to tell you, like, they know without a shadow of a doubt, this player is going to pan out. And then 2-3 years later, that person's out the league. Alexandra, all kinds of stuff. Just broke on my Bucks page. Devin White has requested a trade. Yep. He definitely did that. Let's see. Do I have that tab? We can go to that tab. I like Nolan Smith a lot. I do too. I like him a lot. And I think you could even argue. That's why to me, I would put him, if I'm to do my own tier, which I'm not, but if I have to try to combat this Chris Sims tier thing, I'm more inclined to put Will Anderson on the same tier as Nolan Smith. Now, are either one of them, in my opinion, NFL edge rushers? I have my doubts. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just have my doubts. Whereas Tyree, I think Tyree's size makes him more believable to me as an NFL edge rusher. I'm a little concerned about Will and Nolan Smith's size coming off the edge. That's just me, though, you know. But yeah, Devin White has requested a trade. So for those who are on that, understand that. Devin White has requested a trade from the Tampa Bay Bucks. Allegedly, the Bucks do not want to trade him, but depending how the leverage thing goes, we'll see if that becomes something. So while I have y'all attention on this Chris Sims thing, understand that he's doing this for clicks. Also understand that he's not new to this. He's true to this. A couple of years ago, or just last year. No, a couple of years ago. I was right the first time. Chris Sims, 2021 draft QB rankings. And this is what got him in a lot of trouble. Let me see. Let me come up the screen here. I want to do this right. Y'all saw it already, but I just want to make sure we do this right. Okay, there we go. All right. Had to make sure I had my Zoom thing. Zach Wilson, number 1. 2021 draft QB rankings. Zach Wilson over Trevor Lawrence. And the funny thing is, he's still 10 toes down on this. As Zach Wilson has looked mid his entire short career in the National Football League, Chris Sims has been vigilant about the fact that I'm still riding that Zach Wilson can't be him. Even though the team that, has him in the building every single day is saying, nah, I'm good, love, enjoy. So, and as you see, oh no, y'all can't see. He puts here, my 2021 draft QB rankings, taping the podcast soon with breakdown/explanation. So again, I'm going to say the thing that drives people to my podcast. So 2 years ago, it was, I'm going to tell y'all Zach Wilson is the best QB in the entire draft. He's better than Trevor Lawrence. He's better than Mac Jones. He's better than Justin Fields and Trey Lance and Kellen Mond. This year, it's Will Anderson is at the bottom of the top 5 edge prospects. By the way, listen to my podcast or watch my podcast. Blue Check Boys. One of the goals of this stream and just my content, period, here on YouTube is for y'all to understand that trick. As someone that's worked in the industry and has sat in on meetings around stuff like this and how to promote, how to market, how to drum up views, this is clearly what they do. Yeah. Like I said, if we could get this stream and get these subscribers up, and thank you for those who have subscribed. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate that. Let's keep running the subscriptions up. And I'm telling y'all, once we hit that 1K, I got some things to get off my chest about the industry, and I know y'all will enjoy it. So, tell a friend to hurry up and subscribe and do all that good stuff, and then we can really air some stuff out. Anywho, let's move on. The Lions did a deal. The Lions and the Falcons, two teams that have had tremendous roster turnover this offseason, did a deal with each other. The Detroit Lions are reportedly trading former first-round pick Jeff Okudah to the Atlanta Falcons for a 5th-round pick. This man was 3rd overall not that long ago. Gone for a 5th-round pick. I'll jump to the chat real quick. I see Alexander's getting it in. Lucas Van Ness is very good also. I got to watch film on him. I've seen some highlights. I haven't really studied him, so I will add him to the list. I got a living document of people that we've talked about here on this stream that I need to really lock in on, so I'm up to speed. So, 6'5", 270. Okay. That size could work. Why? Because here's my problem, right? I don't consider that an edge. You 6'5", 272, that to me is not an edge. Unless we're just calling all defensive ends just edge rushers. Edge rushers to me are the kind of smallish, the Hassan Riddick types. 6'5", 272, that's Javon Curse. I wouldn't call Javon Curse an edge rusher. That size? Lucas Van Ness to me is not an edge. He's just a defensive end. That's he's built like a Bosa. Is anyone calling the Bosa, either one of the Bosas, an edge rusher? They're defensive linemen. They're defensive ends. Thomas. Chiefs won it all. Trade their best wide receiver, Tyreek Hill. Yeah, and, they found a way to make do with Juju and, McCall Hardman and a bunch of dudes, and now they got to do it again. They got to find a way to run it back with even, you could argue, with less talent, although I think Kadarius Toney, if he's right, and Andy Reid is definitely going to find a way to maximize his skill sets, and you kind of saw it in the playoff run, making them return punts and stuff like that, Kadarius Toney is a dynamic playmaker. And now you add in Richie James, who can definitely contribute in multiple ways. I think the Chiefs kind of found a way again. The ability to rebuild on the fly is something that's extremely hard to do. But teams are they're finding ways to tinker. When you have someone who's so good like Mahomes, to me, the best quarterback in the entire league, when you have someone like that, when you have the best tight end in the league in Travis Kelce, I mean, it really doesn't, you really don't need that much more. Having Tyreek Hill was a bonus. And they were able to get a Super Bowl and they lost another one. But the fact that they were able to get rid of Tyreek Hill and still get back to the Super Bowl and then win it, it's just a testament to just having the best QB and the best tight end in the league, how far you can go with that. But looking at what the Lions did here, right? They cut bail on Jeff Okudah. And we see it here that, and why would they get rid of someone who they just drafted 3rd overall in the 2020 draft? Well, the Lions signed former 49er Emmanuel Mosley and former Steelers CB Cameron Sutton in free agency, and also added Eagles DB CGJ, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So Jeff Okudah was the odd man out. The Lions also have 2 first-round picks in the 2023 draft. So the Lions are a team that is rebuilding here on the fly because the offense is ready to go. Despite what we think of Jared Goff, the offense is ready to go. They're ready. Now they're trying to build that defense. And they hit on some of their picks last year. I mean, they get to dust off a healthy Jameson Williams this year. He's a problem. So the Lions, who have been, mid for the entirety of my lifetime, outside of, some Barry Sanders years and some Calvin Johnson Megatron years, and in true Lions fashion, they ran both of them away into retirement. The Lions actually have a full team if they nail these picks. They nail these picks, they have a full team. And if you go back to the Matt Patricia era, which Bill Barnwell highlights here, look at how Jeff Okudah will forever be remembered. And you could throw in Andrew Thomas, but we're going to focus on Jeff Okudah. Burrow, Chase Young. Now, Chase Young, that's coming up for debate. It's very much a Lamar type situation, although with way less accolades. The Washington fan base is split on what to do with Chase Young. Decline the option? Or do you tag him? There's a lot going on there with Chase Young, and that could be the next athlete to, force his way out. Alex has joined us. What's good, Alex Smith? Thank you. Appreciate you subbing. Thomas and Linda may have a nice secondary this year. They've made some improvements, and I'm going to get to them shortly. They also have made some improvements. Like, as much as I have tried to ride on Arthur Blank for being scared money for not wanting to step into the Lamar Jackson thing, and I still think he's scared money for that. You can't sell me on Desmond Ridder, who started all of 4 games, and tell me you saw enough. I refuse to believe that. However, elsewhere, they've been able to have a sneaky good offseason. Now, again, it still has to happen on the field, right? But in terms of their, additions on paper, very good offseason. Todd Billen. Defensive end is technically an edge rusher because they are trying to pressure the QB from the outside. Just like outside LB, it's also considered an edge rusher because in the 3-4 defense, they're rushing from the edge. Yeah, I get all that. Here's my thing, right? I'm an 80s baby. DE never stood for edge rusher. Edge rusher became a thing when we had smallish guys rushing off the edge. When we had those linebackers that you're referencing, that's when edge rushing became a thing. Like, LT was not an edge rusher. He was a defensive end. So to me, it's kind of like in a 3-4, I got you. I understand that. But for some reason, that 3-4 has now spread to just the entirety of the position. That has not been the case. And all these edge rushers aren't going to fall into a 3-4. Because there ain't that many 3-4s for all these edge rushers to be drafted onto. Unless I'm mistaken. Y'all put me on. You can have packages that have 3-4, but you can use some of these guys in a situational package. Like, I get that, right? But in terms of if you're going to take Nolan Smith and you're not running the 3-4, he a linebacker. If you're taking Will Anderson and you're not running the 3-4, he's a linebacker. Now, Tyree is different. I think Tyree's a defensive end. It don't matter what system you run with him. 4-3, 3-4. You want to go college with it and do gimmicks? We do 5-2, like whatever you want to do. I think he can put his hand in the dirt on any position on that D line, just because of his size and based off what Alexander told us about your man Van Ness, he's the same. I'll have to study him, and I've already added him to the list. But yeah, if you have that size to go along with that speed, that to me is a defensive end. That's not an edge. Yes, technically you're rushing on the edge, like the outside. I get all that. But that's never been the verbiage prior to, I would say, the last 5 to, I don't know, let's say 10 years. It has been 10 years. Maybe 5-7 years. The notion of an edge rusher has become like a thing. Alex Smith, the Lions have put pieces around Jared Goff that make him look better than he is. Agreed. And I think teams have learned that's a philosophy too. If you don't have a franchise QB, then you better surround that QB with enough weapons. You think you look right here, look at this list. Tua Tagovailoa. I'm not ready to say he's a franchise QB. He didn't look that great before Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. He looked okay when it was just Waddle. And if we need to go to the stats, we can. Like, this is with Tyreek Hill. Right? 3,500 yards. We know about the concussions. He missed 4 games, but 3,500 and 25 to ATD ratio. This is with just Jalen Waddle. 12 games. And then that first year, 9 starts, played in 10 games. These are okay numbers, but not franchise QB numbers. But that's where we're at with it. So, Tua Tagovailoa, they gave him weapons. And then he looked like an MVP candidate at times last year. And that's where we're at with it. And even Justin Herbert. Jay Herbo, he's going to get a bag. But have we seen Jay Herbo do it by himself? He's got all the skill set. So let's not get this twisted that I'm trying to shade. I'm just saying, when we're talking about you need to surround your QB with weapons to help him do his job better, the Chargers have done that. Or at least they drafted a QB that fell into a position where you had Keenan Allen, you had Mike Williams, you had Austin Eckler. They've done pretty solid at tight end, rotating a few guys every couple of years. So, the Lions have learned. No matter who your QB is, it's a bonus if he's a Mahomes. He's a bonus if he's a Burrow, right? But even if you get a Burrow, you need to go get him a Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Even if he's Justin Herbert, do what you got to do to retain Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler. Even if you have Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders. I know he's gone now, but still. You do what you got to do. You even go out and go get a A.J. Brown. And I said it earlier, but for those who are pulling up, you can't just sit with just one good guy at each position anymore. You need multiples of everything. Multiple top-tier receivers, multiple top-tier tight ends, multiple top-tier running backs. You need all of that. Because you got to put points up. And your man's Jeff Okudah. I mean, look at this nasty sandwich. Andrew Thomas, I mean, if y'all have had the displeasure of watching Giants games, I won't say too much. Anyway, so you see Joe Burrow, Chase Young. He's going to be the next guy up of will he get tagged or not. We have Okudah, who has had some moments, but have also had some lowlights. And then you have Tua and Jay Herbo. And this is the Matt Patricia era. Yikes. So anyway, we have some feedback on this deal. Mina Kimes, so I said earlier, this is a pro Mina Kimes YouTube channel. She likes this deal. She likes it for both teams. Makes sense for Detroit, but I like this bet for Atlanta because why not? Shouldn't stop them from now. Here's the T. Shouldn't stop them from drafting one of the top 2 CBs at 8 if the board shakes that way. Corey's in here. Big NFC East guy. Andrew Thomas is nice. Yeah, but is he 4th pick overall nice? Anywho, so she likes this deal. And she thinks that they could still take a DB at 8. That to me is interesting because who do I think is the DB? Is it Gonzalez or Witherspoon? I like Witherspoon. I know there could be a size issue there, like height-wise, but I don't think there's that much of it's a 2-inch difference between him and Gonzalez. Like, I'm more inclined to go Witherspoon, but, you know, they'll have their pick because I don't think there's anyone trading up to get a DB. So they can have whoever they want at 8. Oh, Corey is jumping out the window early today. Okay. He's a future All-Pro Hall of Famer. No. Right. But at 4th overall, the value you're thinking you're going to get is of someone who you would believe it has potential for the Hall of Fame. A top 5 pick? I mean, you know, especially at that position, like we're talking Jonathan Ogden, like the all linemen that have been taken that high. Let me catch up with the chat. Let's see. Will Anderson is 6'4", 250. He's big enough to transition to defensive end. I didn't see it. Like, sure. Like 6'4", 250. I think the 250 is that what? That's why they think he could be off the edge because he's a little light in the ass. Like that's the whole thing of the edge. But to me, I think he could be used in more dynamic ways as a linebacker. Putting him on the line, unless he's just going to like blow by people on every down. I don't know if he has the technique on the edge like that. Like, I don't know. I put me in the category of I need to see it, just straight up. I've, you know, because the team of my youth, the Bears had the 1st round pick and the number 1 overall pick. I started to do a little deep dive on Will Anderson because it looked like that's where they were going to go. And from what I watched, that 1, it definitely didn't seem like someone who should be taken number 1 overall. And 2, I didn't see enough to maybe think, oh, yeah, he could be a difference maker on the line every down. I didn't see it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I have no problem admitting that I'm wrong on something. Alexander, yeah, I think that Lucas Van Ness is definitely more of a linebacker in that size. Well, not if he's that size. Let's see. Where was he? You said it was 6'5", 270 something, right? Where he at? Did I pass him? Yeah, I mean, if he's 270, the key to me is the weight. That's my thing about it. That's what makes you see even here. Let me scroll up. D-line edge. Because he's 6'5", 270. That's a defensive end. Like, you can move around. He could play inside. He could play on the edge. But that's a defensive. He could be inside or outside. Because he's got that extra weight on him. If Will Anderson is 6'3.5", or we got in top billing saying he's 6'4", 250, this is saying 6'3.5", 253. I think that 20-pound difference matters. It can matter if you're just doing speed rushes. If you're just going to speed rush and swim, fine. Or you're going to try to speed rush and get low and get super low and have that leverage. You're going to do that every down? Okay. Like like Dwight Freeney, right? Dwight Freeney hit you with the spin move. It was unbeatable, right? Until he got older and he lost that speed, and then it wasn't as good, right? But that was his bread and butter. He wasn't that great against the run. Like, he wasn't that, like, if you're putting Will Anderson and Nolan Smith in that type of box, cool. If you're telling me Will Anderson can be Dwight Freeney, okay. I didn't see it in the film I watched. I can obviously go back and watch some more, but I didn't see it. Corey Akuta will be better in Atlanta. Well, he'll get the opportunity to be better. To his backup, Skylar Thompson shows some flashes too of greatness. Greatness. A little loose with a little loose with that word, Alex. Greatness, Skylar Thompson. All right, I'll let it rock in the playoffs. So I hope they take the time to develop him. I don't see that happening. If Tua can, have the concussions be a thing of last year and not this year with those weapons, the numbers he's going to put up, I think they're going to pay him the money he wants. So I don't know. I don't know if Skylar's going to get a chance to put up the numbers you think he can. There's no reason to develop him. There's no incentive to develop him. Joshua, I prefer a blue-collar QB over a big franchise QB. Who is a blue-collar QB in today's NFL? I know the old school ones, but current day. Wait, you tell me Joe Flacco? Jimmy G? Like, you tell me, who is a blue-collar QB? Bring the Heat is saying Gonzalez greater than Witherspoon. Okay. I mean, it's close. To me, it's close. Alex Smith, at 4th overall, you should be a potential Hall of Famer. That's all I'm saying. Like, at 4th overall, like, to me, yeah. I mean, to each his own. Stop the cap. Thank you for subbing, man. I appreciate that. What's good saying? YouTube bugging on the... Okay, all good. No worries. No worries. We here. I do this stream Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes, depending if there's late breaking stuff, I might push a stream back, 10, 15 minutes to make sure I got everything lined up for y'all. But 4 p.m. Eastern time, I'm here. So never worry. I'm here. But appreciate you pulling up. Appreciate you subbing as well. All right, here comes Corey with the semantics. Was there a better lineman than him in last year's draft? Arguably, no. So if that's we're drafting at need with the 4th overall pick, okay, like that's a high risk, high reward thing. So far, it's worked out, but as you said, it's last year's draft. It's 1 year. I'm not saying he's mid. I'm not trying to tear him down. I just think it's something I wouldn't live and die by that philosophy if it's me. Just because I need an offensive tackle, they needed a lot of things. Now, I know he helped for sure, but I don't know. I'm just not ready to just go ahead and just give people flowers that soon. Let's see. I appreciate y'all pulling up. Appreciate y'all. If y'all have not subscribed, please subscribe. I would appreciate it. Thomas Ding. Yep. T may be gone soon. Can't keep everybody. Big business happens all the time to pay Burrow and Chase. Well, here's the thing. The Bengals are notorious for not paying anybody. Their owner is easily the cheapest in the entire NFL. I don't know if he pays Burrow and Chase. I don't know that. And I think he would sleep at night very well not paying one of them. I think he gives Burrow the bag because it would be an uproar in that city, but I don't know if he signs Chase. I don't think that's automatic. Mike Brown is one of the cheapest owners in all sports, not just the NFL, all sports. Joshua, out of all the QBs, I prefer CJ Stroud. He seems like a QB you could keep for the long haul. I mean, yeah, he looks the part. CJ definitely looks the part. Todd Billen. What do you think is the real reasons why the Ravens haven't gotten Lamar Jackson weapons like all the other young QBs? I think it's stubbornness. And I think it's cheapness. And we kind of talked about it a little bit yesterday in terms of when a team isn't improving their roster, it's not always the front office. You have to look at the owner. If the owner wants a better product on the field, all they have to do is to tell the people under them to make it happen, and their job is to make it happen. And if they don't do the job, the owners will find someone else who will. So I just think the Ravens felt Lamar, I think they got stuck in that old mentality, right? Take it back to the 90s and the 2000s. You could get away with just having a star quarterback, and that quarterback could take you to winning records for an extended period of time. That has changed. That NFL is long and gone and is dead and buried. You cannot get away with, well, we got a quarterback, we're good now. No. You cannot have an unbalanced offense like they've had under Greg Roman. You cannot have the lack of wide receivers like they've had in this Lamar Jackson era. You cannot do that today. You cannot get away with it. You will get exposed. You're not going to win a lot of games 17-14 like in today's NFL. You're just not going to do that. You're not going to do that and win a Super Bowl. You're not. You might have an occasional victory in the regular season like that, maybe even a playoff game or two, but you're not going to win 17 weeks plus 3 to 4 weeks in the playoffs of 17-14 games. That's not happening. And the Ravens were late to the party. Dolphins figured it out. Eagles figured it out. Lions have figured it out. Hell, even the Bears have figured it out. 49ers have figured it out. Like, you could run down, like, there's not too many teams that haven't gone to that model. There's not too many teams that haven't figured that part out. The Jets are trying to figure it out. The Bills are trying to add another receiver. They're trying to figure it out. It's not rocket science. I know sometimes in sports with advanced analytics and everything, they try to make this sport seem to be so much harder than what it really is. And while it can be complex at times, complex is not hard. Those are two different words with two different meanings. You can see the trend. Franchise QB or not, you better give him weapons. Franchise QB or not, you better give him weapons. And the Ravens are late to the party. Joshua, I think that Lamar Jackson was too good for his own good. Yeah, giving a team an MVP on a rookie deal. I mean, that right there should have allowed the Ravens to re-up his deal. Mahomes was able to get, let me not. I don't want to start. I don't want to start because y'all know me. Y'all know me. Well, once I start, we'll be here for 3 hours. We'll be here for 3 hours. Alex Smith, I don't know if Tua can stay healthy. That's for sure. I mean, that's the problem with Alex Smith, with Tua Tagovailoa, is that, one, you got to hope that they're taking precautions necessary, whether it's, there was a whole thing coming into last year. Or no, yeah, there was a thing last year of him learning to slide and him learning how to protect himself. Clearly, that didn't really pan out, right? Now it's, okay, but what steps have they taken this offseason to help him, or what systems are they putting in place to help him protect himself? Does he need to get a special helmet? I mean, I don't know what he needs. But if he's so susceptible to being concussed, I'm very surprised that they picked up that 5th-year option. Corey saying Dak is blue collar. Can you be a Cowboys QB and be blue collar? Was he blue collar and running to Steven and Jerry saying, y'all better get my money right now that Daniel Jones got his money and his money's looking a little bit too much like mine? I don't know. Joshua, the Ravens do not typically draft superstar QBs. They sign free agents and they like game managers. They do not like or favor QBs who are one-man shows. It is like the guy who does everything. I mean, well, they fell into Flacco, right? I mean, Trent Dilfer, see, that's the thing. They were still operating like it was those times. Defense, run the ball, have a QB who would not make mistakes. You can't win like that in today's NFL. You can't. You might get lucky every couple of years and with a really good regular season getting that off. But you're not going to win a Lombardi with that. The last team that's won it that way is the Broncos with Manning. Manning was horrible that year. The defense carried that whole entire team to a chip. Unless you think you got a squad like that, and I don't think the Ravens defensively are going to look like that this year, then no, you better get that man some weapons. Bring the heat. Bring the heat. I do like Witherspoon. It wouldn't be surprised if he goes over Gonzalez because they're pretty close. Yeah, I agree. I think right now, I'll be honest, I've watched more film on Witherspoon than Gonzalez because I kind of already had a decent feel on Gonzalez, but I wasn't that hip to Witherspoon. So I've been tapped in more on him, and I've really liked what I've seen, technique-wise especially. So I don't know. I think the Falcons are sitting pretty that none of these teams are going to be in the market for a DB. So you're literally just going to have your pick of whoever you want at 8, assuming no one trades up. Like that 7th pick with the Raiders could do something stupid. They could do another Colin Farrell type thing and just reach and take something here. Like, who knows? It's the Raiders. Who knows? Corey, the Andrew Thomas pick worked. I mean, yes. I don't think no one's questioning that. I'm just saying, 4th overall, I haven't seen a tackle. His performance to me doesn't fit someone who's 4th overall. So that's fine. He was the best tackle in his class. Yes, all of that was true as well. But just 4th? Alexandra, I'm not sure Tua can avoid getting so many concussions. I mean, if he has what? He had 4 that we know of last year. I think that the first one he gets this upcoming season, all hell's going to break loose. Because now, I mean, if you think there's injury concerns with Lamar, if you think there is concerns with style of play and so on and so forth, if you have a QB that's consistently going out there and getting concussed, And they picked up the 5th-year option. So I don't know, man. Was it 4th year? Yeah, 4th-year option. Excuse me, 4th-year option. So if we're looking at the Falcons a little bit, this is the new pieces for the Falcons. And this is why I wanted to highlight here the Lions and the Falcons, because the Lions have made moves in their secondary, and the Falcons have made a lot of moves in this offseason. Now, a lot of these names are not big-time names, but just in terms of roster upheaval, I think they've made some pretty decent moves. When you're talking about Okudah, they just got Calais Campbell last week. Jonnu Smith, pair him with Pitts on offense. You could do multiple tight end sets there. Taylor Heineke, I mean, I'm off that. Mac Hollins did some things last year. What was that, the Raiders last year? Scotty Miller from Tampa Bay. Alexander knows all about him. I still think the QB position is a huge question mark there. But they have pieces in place everywhere else. They have skill set. They have position players everywhere else. Falcons have had a really solid offseason, except for, imagine if they would have did all this and would have stuck their neck out there and got Lamar. Anywho. Joshua. If a kid does all of the volunteering in the classroom, the teacher will only call on that student. I do not think Baltimore knows how to handle a one-man show. But see, that's the thing. They made Lamar a one-man show. I don't think Lamar wasn't a one-man show at Louisville. He was dynamic and he was the star, but it wasn't a one-man gang. Like Petrino ran a pro-style offense at Louisville. This Greg Roman thing is what kind of made it be Lamar or nothing 1-on-11. So that's not Lamar saying, I want to be drafted by a team that's going to have me do 1-on-11 for the first 5 years of my career. That's not Lamar. The Ravens did that. The Ravens have a philosophy where they hate divas, and quarterbacks and receivers tend to play more like divas. I would like to introduce you to Ray Lewis. Are you saying Ray Lewis was not a diva? Was and is a diva. Be careful. Joshua, if Baltimore were smart, they would bring in the offensive coordinator or even a good defensive coordinator. The Ravens lack an identity. Well, they brought in a new OC. Monken from Georgia. They brought in Monken from Georgia. Monken used to be at Tampa Bay as well before Georgia. And I like what he's going to bring. I like what Monken's going to bring. I think I've been reading up a lot about him. And from everything, it's balanced offense. Pass the ball, vertical, run the ball, heavy play action, multiple tight end sets. Like, I think that's why it was imperative for them to improve the weapons around Lamar, because the Greg Roman offense, you can get away with that 1-on-11 stuff. The Monken offense, you are not doing that. You are not doing that because he has to be able to pass the ball. This offense doesn't work if he can't pass the ball. And for him to pass the ball at a balanced level, he needs weapons to be open. Not guys dropping the ball all over the place or just not getting separation. Corey, the Chiefs just won a Super Bowl with subpar wide receiver play. What's more valuable, great line or great weapons? Offensively right now, I would say weapons. You can get away with a subpar line. You know, that as much as we can reference the Chiefs and we could talk about the Super Bowl when he lost to Tampa and Mahomes was running for his life, and the line certainly played a factor, I think you can make a case that, you know, the Eagles had the better offensive line, they didn't win that Super Bowl. Like, a line certainly helps. Like, no one's saying let's forget the O-line and just have a bunch of weapons. You need everything to be more or less either average or better, right? You can't be subpar at one piece of, or at one level of either side of the ball and expect to win and win big, right? I think, though, in today's NFL, you need to score, and there is a balance. There is a balance of, all right, do I need studs all across the line? Do I need the dominant left tackle, the really good right tackle, bull rushing guards? Do I need all of that? No. You could get away with a good left tackle, a solid right tackle, good center, okay guards. You could win a Super Bowl with that, as opposed to, we can say the Chiefs receivers are subpar, but before that, there's not a lot of Super Bowl champions that haven't won with a really good number one wide receiver. Bare minimum. Like that. Last year's championship was about Mahomes and how good Mahomes and Kelsey are. That's not going to be the norm. You can't roll out of bed and just say, all right, we're going to do it like the Chiefs did. You're going to do it with the best quarterback in the league and the best tight end? You got that in the tuck? No. Okay. Well, then, yeah, you better go get some weapons that are top tier, because if you're the Lions and you got Jared Goff, I don't care how great the offensive line is. If he's got no one open, that's Jared Goff back there. That's Swiss cheese. So it's a balance. But I think you can lean away from having the super uber dominant offensive line, as opposed to we're going to overwhelm you with these weapons and dare you to stop us. But good question, though. And I think that is what makes for engaging debates. And that's just purely offense. When it comes to defense, and Corey knows this, I'm all about the defensive line. I'd rather build my team from the line back. I start with the front four, and then I worry about the back seven later. Because if I could get pressure with four, I like my chances. But now, if we're talking about offense and scoring the ball and putting points up, I need guys to be able to catch the damn ball. I need guys to be able to run with the ball. I need a QB who, even if he's mid, can be surrounded by dudes that are so nice that he can even look good. Because it's way easier to find a average QB and surround them with weapons as opposed to finding a Mahomes and having him do it 2-on-11 with him and Kelsey. Joshua, the Steelers have had a reputation for blue-collar QBs. I like Ben Roethlisberger. Kurt Warner was good. All right, we cannot mention Ben Roethlisberger as blue-collar when the man is an alleged, but not really, rapist. That's not blue-collar. Sorry. Alex Smith, the O-line for me, because if your QB can't stay upright long enough to throw your weapons, then they are useless. That's true. However, you don't need a dominant offensive line. And if you're taking a tackle at 4, you're expecting him to be dominant. And again, I don't want to make this about Andrew Thomas. I'm just saying I was not sold on him being taken that high. I get why they do it. I'm not saying they should revisit that draft and not do it. I'm just saying it kind of was, drafting by need, and that's really rough to do when you're doing it at 4. And that need is offensive tackle. And that offensive tackle doesn't grade out as to be some sort of top tier, can't miss, like the being the best of the bunch is just the best of the bunch. Okay. Reach and take him at 4. All right. You do whatever you got to do. They're going to do whatever they got to do to protect Daniel Jones. You're going to draft the offensive tackle at 4 to protect Daniel Jones. Okay. If that's what you want to do. Well, you could have had Jay Herbo, and you could have spun the block and got another tackle down the line. But okay, no, we got to protect our biggest investment, which is Daniel Jones. So we're going to take a tackle at 4. Okay. Cool story, bro. New York fans, am I right? No, Lombardi Leap, he's a Cowboys fan. Corey is a Cowboys fan. So he's not caping for Andrew Thomas because he's a Giants fan, but he is a big NFC East guy, but that's because he is a Dallas Cowboy fan. But, you know, shade him away. Shade him anyway. Tua gets concussed again next year. This is top billing. Tua gets concussed again next year. Miami then goes after Lamar in 2024. As much as I think that would make sense, I don't know if they'll do it. I don't know if I trust that front office to do it. Chris Greer's been really solid, but that owner, I mean, that's the reason why they don't have a first round pick this year is because of that owner. I don't know if I trust that. Alex Smith, Heineke can throw the ball downfield at least. I mean, sure. And, you know, Washington has such good weapons. That's why I'm mad that they're scared to go after Lamar. Heineke was definitely helped by having McLaurin and then Dotson later in the year, and Logan Thomas and all of that, and then Brian Robinson Jr. The third or junior, whatever it is. But no, Heineke's okay. He's serviceable. He is serviceable. The problem is that they're running around out here screaming about Desmond Ridder and why. Because we have Desmond Ridder, we're not going to go after Lamar Jackson. That's just silly to me. Let's see. Y'all are busy in the chat tonight. I love it. Y'all are busy in the chat tonight. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what blue collar means either. Top billing. We're gonna let Josh figure that out. I haven't. Maybe he came down in the chat and explained. I haven't. I'm trying to catch up with the chat. I don't want to skip over nothing. Corey, I wouldn't say they were doing pro style at Louisville. Okay, then ask Bobby Petrino. Top billing. I've noticed a lot of Ravens fans come up with some weird reasons, excuses as to why they don't like Lamar Jackson. Yeah, this stream. I will say this. This stream has really brought out a lot of Ravens fans, and I'm very grateful for them because they have taught me a lot about the Ravens and it's made me go and do the research. And it's what has gotten me so aggravated in this whole Lamar thing is that, you know, Boogie Down, Tanya, Joshua, all the Ravens people that have been pulling up, they have all made me get better about the Ravens and do the deep dives and do the history and do look up what's going on with, you know, the organizational chart and what the hell's going on with Ozzie Newsome and all of that. So I'm very appreciative with them. It can get funny in here at times with the chat and with the random thoughts of Ravens fans, but I'm very appreciative of all of them. Alex Smith as well. Alex Smith, Ray Lewis is definitely a diva and has always been a diva, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Corey, Chiefs line was better in pass protection. Eagles had better run line. Right. But if you would listen to the experts, and again, we always use that loosely, experts, they would say that the Eagles just had a better offensive line overall. Now, you watched the game, you played the game, so you know better. But just in the sense of what the pundits would tell you, they would say that the Eagles had the advantage on the offensive line. But yes, that is accurate. Chiefs line was better in pass pro. Eagles are better at run blocking. Joshua, Ray Lewis worked well with the other defensive players when Terrell Owens played. He blew up when he didn't get the ball enough. I mean, Joshua, if we're doing that, I mean, Ray Lewis, do I have to say what happened to him out there in Miami? And do I have to say what he got away with? Do we have to talk about how it was all about him whenever he played? That he has to have people, even on that 30 for 30 on that Ravens team, they had him come out last to the Nelly song and all of that, like, and they picked up grass on a 30 for 30. That, like, dog, he's a diva. Like, I don't mind a diva if you're elite. I don't like you being a diva when you're mid, when you're average. Ray Lewis is an immortal. Terrell Owens is immortal. Like, you could argue Terrell Owens is a top 3 receiver of all time. He would tell you he's the second best of all time. I'm not going that far, but he's top 3. Todd Billen, you need at least 2 out of the 3 things: weapons, scheme, and O-line. 2 out of 3 will get you far. 3 out of 3 almost guarantee Super Bowl. I think that's fair. Corey, linebacker still a premier position? No. And that's why all these guys are becoming edge rushers. That's why we have, well, where's the thing at? Where's Chris Sims? This is why all these guys are playing the edge. I mean, I think Tyree Wilson could translate, although he was never a linebacker, but like Nolan Smith and Will Anderson, I think that's why they're playing the edge. I think the days of, we're talking about Ray Lewis. I don't know if a Ray Lewis can exist. Ray Lewis might be off the edge today. Brian Urlacher, who was a safety in college and then translated to the league as a middle linebacker, he's probably off the edge today. Derek Brooks, he's probably off the edge. Patrick Willis, he's probably off the edge. Like, that's kind of what it is now. Like, it doesn't really pay to be a linebacker. Linebacker now is either you're a failed edge rusher or a safety that's outgrown the position. That's kind of what it seems like now. It's definitely being devalued. Running backs and linebackers are being devalued. Joshua, realistically, with the type of ball the Ravens want to play, they need at least 4 quality wide receivers. The type of offenses I used to like was the greatest show on turf. Well, you talking about the Rams? So that was what? Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Akeem, and Marshall Faulk. I mean, that's, I don't know if the Ravens are going to do that. The Ravens don't have four quality wide receivers. They have Odell Beckham, Bateman. I mean, if you want to call Nelson Aguilar quality, I would push back, but sure. But yeah, no, I don't think that's what the Ravens are doing. Monken's offense is not that. You might see 4 wide, but that won't be the standard. It's not going to be like the Oilers back in the day with run and shoot, or like the greatest show on turf, like you referenced. Definitely your D-line in today's game better be on point for sure. It's still won and lost in the trenches. Lombardi Leap, I'll definitely shade him as a Cowboys fan then. Yeah, go ahead. Feel free. Feel free. Joshua, he does not need to be a superstar blue collar. He does not need to be a superstar. Blue collar could mean a guy that you simply surround with weapons, learn a playbook, and just play the game. So a system QB. Let's take out blue collar and just go with system. I think what you're describing is just a system QB. I don't think it has anything to do with blue collar. Because does Jimmy G look like blue collar to you? He's dating porn stars. That's not blue collar, allegedly. Let's see. Did Dez catch it? We all know. We all know that answer. And of course, Corey answers. Let's see. You guys have been great in the chat. I'll tell you that. You guys have been great in the chat. There are some other quick stories I would like to tap into, but I'll stick with the chat for right now. Joshua, they can be average, but is he dependable? I do not want most of the cap tied to one player. Get wide receiver weapons and build around the quarterback. Well, I'm not sure what exactly you want. Like, you want the greatest show on turf, but you still need a Kurt Warner. And they lucked into that. Like, don't forget Trent Green. Like, that wasn't even supposed to be Kurt Warner. So they kind of lucked into that. So I don't know if you want to use that as the blueprint. And then don't forget how important Marshall Faulk was to that. Unless you're trying to tell me J.K. Dobbins is going to be, you know, Marshall Faulk. Like Bomani's saying Bijan Robinson is going to be the next Marshall Faulk. I don't know if I'm going that far, but I don't put J.K. Dobbins in that territory. So you're kind of going to have to, like, really explain that if you can. Lombardi lead. Corey, I'm thankful we got a Super Bowl with Mike McCarthy, but I'm glad you have him. Facts. Corey's coach is a known liar. Got that job by lying in his job interview, and he admitted it publicly and still has a job. And matter of fact, has now been entrusted with play calling this year after admitting to lying in his job interview. But, you know, it's Jerry's world. Let's see. Alex Smith, LT would have been an edge rusher in today's. I mean, he was. He ran off. I mean, he was off the edge in back in the day. They moved LT around from left to right end. He didn't do that much over the nose. Like, yeah, LT might have been the original edge rusher, but I mean, he also played at linebacker as well. So yeah, LT might have been the first of this, like, you know, for the last like 40 years or whatever, since like the 80s or whatever. I'm sure someone will pull up some dude from the 70s or whatever that did that shit too, but Joshua's going in tonight. He's got time. Plays like Odell Beckham require the spotlight. They normally prefer cities like New York. That's exactly what I mean. But they had the stats to prove it. New York is a big media city. Well, I think you're underestimating OBJ's shine. I think Odell brings the spotlight wherever he goes. He brought the spotlight to Cleveland. I think you're underestimating. I think Odell is the star. Like, yeah, most people didn't know him out of LSU unless you were really watching the games, but like, he was him. He had that star quality off rip. Like, it may have took that catch, that one-handed arm grab back catch for like the world to know him, but he had star quality before that catch. So I would push back against that. And the Browns were thought to be a top-tier team just because he went there. He got traded there. With Baker, with Juice Landry, and Njoku, like, he brought the spotlight to Cleveland of all places. So I don't know about that, Joshua. The problem is, being in the big media city, the media can puff up an average player or advertise a person who is past his prime like he is on top of his game. Well, what big city did that? If you're trying to ride on Odell, I'm here for you, but I don't know what arguments you have. Like, if you keep doing the big city stuff, you saw him on that Rams run, right? Like, you saw him. You saw how dominant he looked, right? Like, you saw once his dad put out that 7-minute video of Baker Mayfield missing OBJ wide ass open all the damn time. Once he went to the Rams and he got acclimated to the system, he was cooking. He was getting open. He was scoring touchdowns. Him and Cooper Kupp were a problem. That's not big city media. That's production on the field. So I don't know where the OBJ stuff is coming from. Like, I'm here if you got an actual, argument against OBJ, but if we're talking about big media and hyping up a player that you think is past his prime, and I'm assuming you're insinuating about this for OBJ, I don't know where that's coming from. Because you saw what he was doing in the damn Super Bowl before he got hurt again. You saw it. The 49ers QB was interesting how he was the last guy drafted and he took over for Jimmy G or Trey Lance. So you mean Brock Purdy? I mean, if you would give me Brock Purdy as blue collar, being Mr. Irrelevant, all right. I mean, yeah, that was interesting. But again, look at the weapons. I mean, Shanahan, they went and traded for Chris McCaffrey in season. They had Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. Like, yeah, you can be a 6th round pick or whatever he was, 6th, 7th round pick, Mr. Irrelevant, and be able to find a way to get it done because you got top tier talent all around you. But what happened when he went up against a complete team? It was cute to get to the NFC Championship game off the heels of that defense that was top tier and an offense with an alleged genius play caller and weapons everywhere. But when it came right down to it, and yeah, he got hurt, but I don't think any of us doubted the outcome of that game before he got hurt. I think a phrase, because Corey, I think it creates a fresh, phrase the question wrong. Is linebacker still important? It's still important to run your defense. To run your defense, yes, they still need to make the play calls, right? Like you can't have someone on the line or in the secondary do it. So you need a linebacker that is smart enough to be able to do the play calls, make adjustments on the line, stuff like that. I just don't know if you're going to get too many more game changer linebackers. I don't know if you're going to get too many more game changers at that position. With the emphasis on edge rushers, defensive linemen have become back in style, because everything is ebbs and flows, right? Things change. DBs are still in effect because, there's so many wide receivers now that you need better DBs. So we got, we're going to have, we could have 2 DBs going to top 10 potentially. Like, yeah, you still need a linebacker to run your defense and make the calls. I just don't know if you're going to get a game-changing linebacker. I don't know how many more of those we're going to get for like the next 3 to 4 years. Then it might the trends might shift again, and then linebackers might be more in play then. But for right now, I don't think so. Alex Smith, I'm a Steelers fan. Please never say Big Ben is a blue-collar guy. I was going to let it rock, man. If he would have said anybody that was a Steeler QB except him, I was going to let it rock. But I'm like, all right, man, you can't tell me the rapist is blue-collar, bruh, allegedly. Let's see. I see y'all in the chat. You guys are doing great in the chat. All right, Joshua, I want a QB who you can keep for 10 plus years. I have a hard time seeing Deshaun Watson playing in one city for 10 years. Well, it'll be his second city. Baltimore have had players like Ray Lewis stay on one team for most of their career. Yeah, but also understand that while that's a point, right? Like the Ray Lewis didn't leave, right? And Ed Reed didn't leave. Let me see. Did Bolware leave? I think Bolware left. Like a lot of those guys did leave. So while they kept the creme de la creme, a lot of those other guys that were not as important, but also very important, also left as well. So you can't keep everybody. And Joshua, to be quite fair, I don't know if you're going to get one of those QBs that you want to keep for 10 years unless you take a high draft pick. And that's why the Lamar thing is maddening. You guys lucked into a guy at the bottom of the first round who you can keep for 10 years, but you just got to pay him. Just pay him. You want to QB for 10 years, you can have Lamar for 10 years. Just pay him his money. And then all this goes away. Pay him his money. Top billing, this kind of been my point, and this for me isn't even aimed at Joshua, but there's been a lot of criticism, and I'm not even speaking about Joshua or even Ravens fans. I wish this sentiment right here that you're saying, I've been trying to say this to people in the media. If you don't like Lamar Jackson, just say that. I think owners have been wanting to say that. I think front office execs, general managers and coaches, I think some of them they just don't like Lamar Jackson. And I think they should have the space to say so. I'd rather them say, I just don't like him. I don't believe in him, as opposed to, I'm going to come up with all these stats or all these narratives that can be easily shot down with stats. Arthur Blank's going to tell you about running style, when Lamar Jackson has equally or roughly around the same, let me phrase it right. When you look at the amount of games played for quarterbacks that run, Lamar Jackson is in the same realm as all of them. It's not like he has been so much significantly more hurt than the others. It has been across the board on the same level. But Arthur Blank jumped out there and said, his running style is problematic. He doesn't believe long-term in the effects of Lamar Jackson's running style. When the percentage of games missed for Lamar Jackson is very similar to other running QBs. There's not a large gap. It's not like Lamar has missed 40% of games and, someone like Jalen Hurts or Deshaun Watson or whoever else has only missed 10%. No, Lamar has missed 15% of games he could have played in, and these other rushing QBs are between 82 and 95%. And it's a big range. But Arthur Blank has to say something because he wants to sell you on Desmond Ridder. And guess what? Desmond Ridder ran a lot in college. So Lamar Jackson's running style bothers you long term. But Desmond Ridder, off of 4 games last year and off of running in college, that running style or that playing style you're okay with. It's bullshit. Just say you don't want him. You don't want to invest the money in him. Like, I wish someone would just keep it real. Alex Smith says, still this fan, I would hate to see all 3 of those guys together. Yeah. Joshua, being from New York, it's been frustrating how the media seems to make up stories when you cross-reference and check for facts and you find out it was not true. I do not like players to gravitate. Well, look, I'm from New York, Southside Jamaica, Queens. Being in this media thing, that's their job, Joshua. I hate to, and I think that's the purpose of this stream. That's the purpose of the content I'm trying to put out here on YouTube, is to show y'all to peel back the veil. I've worked in this sports media thing for 14 years. I have seen, have heard, and been privy to a lot of stuff. That's their job. Their job is to pick favorites. Their job is to be biased. Their job is to do clickbait stuff. That's their job. Their job is to make sure people like you, the rest of the chat, are interested in what they have to say, click on their stories, read their headlines, retweet, send it to the group chat, or do a whole stream around their tea. Like this is the byproduct of the information. What I'm trying to do with this stream is let's take their stuff and break down what's real and what's not, what's true and what's not. That's the purpose of the stream. And that's why I hope, Joshua, you keep pulling up, because I'm going to be right here. And I'm going to be right here letting you know when it's bullshit. And I'm going to be right here letting you know, well, there's some validity to this. Because the fact that I worked in this game for so long, I got people I can pull up and contact on the side. Hey, is this story true? Are you hearing this too? Or then I could just go do my own independent research like I've been doing all this week. And last week and these last few weeks of just digging on the internet, going hard, looking up numbers, cross-referencing stuff. Like, I'm here to do the work. And the problem is that their job is to the whole thing of debate culture, embracing debate, all of that stuff like that. That's their job now. That's what sports media is now. Sports media is not about, when I got into the game, of just, finding information and reporting it, finding the information and talking about it, finding the information and writing about it. No one cares about that no more. Now it's all about what's your opinion, what's your take. I worked with Jim Rome. He used to say a thing: have a take, don't suck. It wasn't about, is your analysis right? It wasn't about, did you research this? It is, have a take, don't suck. So just say the thing. That's what I was saying earlier. When it comes to Chris Sims, he had to say the thing. He wants people to go to his podcast. So what does he do? I'm going to set people up for the okie doke. I'm going to tell them I have my top 5 edge prospects. I'm going to go with Tyree Wilson, number 1. That's not a hot take. But when I have Will Anderson at the bottom as the 5th best edge rush prospect, now that generates interest. That generates clicks. And then what does he do? Once he sucks you in with this thing, he puts the link to his podcast. Listen to the audio. Oh, by the way, you can also watch too. That's the game. It's all promo. And then when we come to Ross Tucker, where is it? Here, I'm going to jump out the window and say the thing about the Odell Beckham contract. Quote, may be the worst contract I've ever seen the Ravens give out. This has to be about Lamar Jackson. And then he's got his sponsorship stuff, so you're getting clicks. And then you see here, 250,000 views. And that's why they do it. It's not about being authentic. It's not about, trying to educate the audience, not trying to inform the audience. It's just have a take, don't suck. Back to the chat. Thomas pulling up. Harold Perkins, Devin White 2.0. Watch out for him in a couple of years. Okay. Joshua, I like Lamar Jackson. I am not crazy about listening to all of his tweets or hearing about him on vacation, especially if he gets hurt. I am not saying about what he has done. Well, then social media might not be the place for you, Joshua. I'm not sure what you expect. Like, that's news. Again, that's news today. With all the stuff Ray Lewis got into, do you really want to know what he was doing? Would you really want to know what he was doing if there was social media? Like, do you even want to imagine? Do you want to imagine what that court case would look like if Twitter was around? I would like to hear less social media, especially if he gets hurt when he gets his pay. I just hope Lamar's chat is backed up by his play. I'm just not sure. Like, I'm just having a hard time understanding why you think you're seeing so much from Lamar's point of view when we've heard next to nothing from Lamar, especially on social media. Like, the only things we've heard from Lamar on social media, let's see. Definitely do not want to click on that Dalai Lama. Good Lord. Let's see. We've gotten some GIFs from Lamar. We've gotten some retweets from Lamar. Some more retweets. Some more retweets. Him reminiscing about being 14 years old. Him tweeting about WrestleMania. Him doing promo for his own products. Him promoting his fan page. Him winning the championship. I believe that's Madden. Him retweeting about that. Like, I don't know what you're getting from Lamar on social media, but because he posted the FaceTime of him and OBJ. Like, I don't know. Not really sure what's the problem there. But, you know, you consume the information you want. That's the good thing about this era. I will say that. Like, you can find what you want and you can be siloed in that bubble and block and mute and tune everything out. There are certain people that I have on social media or that are very popular on social media. I never see their stuff because I have them muted. I don't care for their stuff. I don't care for their content. I don't see them. People have to send me their stuff in group chats or whatever because I have them muted. I don't know that they've done a thing online. I don't see it. So maybe just mute Lamar Jackson. If you don't want to see tweets about Lamar Jackson, you can do a whole block list of just block words Lamar Jackson. But I don't know, as someone that appears to be a Ravens fan, I don't know why you would do that, but Alex Smith, I will give the Raiders and Bucks credit. They at least said straight up Lamar is great, but we don't have the money. Facts. Yes. And like the Bucks could do it, but they would have to like go over the cap. The Raiders just don't have the money in escrow. But yes, facts. Lombardi Leap, he could be like Rodgers and go on darkness retreats and ghost the staff for months. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and Rodgers would have been considered blue collar a few years ago. When he was Mr. Discount Double Check, he would have been considered blue collar. Now, you know, at post-pandemic, we learned the real him. His own family don't like him. If that ain't a red flag, when your own entire family don't rock with you, that's a red flag, bruh. You might have some people in the family you don't rock with, but your whole family don't rock with you? Just saying. Oh, boy. See? Leave it to Joshua to bring him up. Colin Kaepernick was a guy who was all talk in a Super Bowl. I just hope that Lamar Jackson continues to thrive after he gets paid. And Colin Kaepernick never got paid. Well, he got paid after the settlement, but that's not. All right, Joshua, I think you did this before when you brought up Kaepernick and I had to do this. So I don't know if Kaepernick is your wheelhouse in terms of just bringing up people that you think failed. I don't know why you would think someone who led a team, and let's be clear, led a team. He wasn't a system QB. He was not a game manager. He led a team to a Super Bowl. Ask Lombardi Leap about Kaepernick. He saw it. He saw it firsthand. But, you know, narratives. I'm not going to do this with Kaepernick tonight. I'm not doing that. If you think that Lamar Jackson and Colin Kaepernick are one and the same, then we're just going to have to agree to disagree. Alex Smith, that court case with Ray Lewis would have been blowing up on social media. Facts. That's what I'm saying. Like, that whole thing, like, man, a murder case? A murder case. What? You saw how they did Vic and the dogs. What? Michael Vick got his payday and he did not live up to this contract. Wasn't he a Pro Bowler and he was in the MVP running? All right, Josh, I'm not sure, man. And what lifestyle did Michael Vick enjoy once he got out of prison? If anyone was more turned down after a bid, I defy you to find someone who's more reformed after a bid than Michael Vick. Michael Vick was even prior to the dog thing, he was kind of low key with it. But post the dogs and post coming out on jail, he went running around with Tony Dungy. He went running around. He's still doing stuff with Peter. Like, I don't know what lifestyle. I think Joshua, you're just like broad brushing a lot of stuff. There's a lot of actual players you can bring up to fit your argument. Unfortunately, you're bringing up players that don't really fit your argument. You have an argument. Your reference points aren't really fitting, though. Because if you're trying to bring up Michael Vick and how he didn't earn the contract, I'm not going to do the Michael Vick thing either today. As you see, bring the heat. He's like, my lips are sealed on Cap today. Like, yeah, it's like certain things, like, you know, it's a rabbit hole. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Let's see, Lombardi Leap. I did meet A-Raj once in Green Bay. Really nice person a few years ago, at least. Yeah. Maybe he wasn't on the ayahuasca that day. Maybe he wasn't high on shrooms. LJ, greater than CK. All right. Alex Smith, oh gosh, now he pulls the Vic card out. Yeah. Bring the heat. Say you hate him. Just as I'll say. I mean, you know. Oh, man. Joshua, I'm here for you, man, but you're just not bringing up the right ones. I won't name them, but there's some ones that could fit your narrative, but just the ones you're bringing up don't fit. All right, let me jump back into it. So as we discussed earlier, Devin White has actually been traded. Nothing new has specifically happened with that, but clearly there's something we're going to keep an eye on. YouTube has announced its pricing for Sunday NFL Ticket. I think I asked y'all earlier in the chat how many of y'all going to drop that bread. No one admitted I think only Alexandra was the only one that admitted that she was not going to drop that bread. But, you know, are y'all going to drop that bread? Y'all see the prices here. Safe space. I swear to you, I ain't snitching. Joshua, I like Joe Flacco. It was too bad he got hurt a lot in the end. But Joe Flacco didn't live up to that money. Joe Flacco got the bag, and he didn't live up to that money. How much money Joe Flacco? Didn't he get 100 M's? Didn't he get something crazy? Where's Sports Track? Here we go. 30 million, 21 million, 29, 21, 12, like 147 million. Y'all gave that man Joe Flacco. He didn't earn that. He didn't live up to that. So you're yearning for the days of Joe Flacco. This man never made a Pro Bowl. This man never made a Pro Bowl. Huntley has made a Pro Bowl. Joe Flacco hasn't. I will repeat that for the people in the back. Huntley has made a Pro Bowl as quarterback. Joe Flacco in his entire career Did not. Go on, Joshua. Matt Ryan. I did like Matt Ryan. He was decent. At least Flacco won the Super Bowl. Flacco did not win that Super Bowl. He was on the team. He just happened to be there. He made a couple of key passes on the road to the Super Bowl, but come on, man. Come on. Bring the Heat, I think, sums it up pretty well. Mans just wants pure pocket passers, no bells and whistles, and that's fine. You can have all the Jimmy G's you want. You can have, excuse. You can have all the Jimmy G's you want. How much of it was guaranteed? Let's see. Well, they let me know. I don't know if I could go back. Oh, maybe here. Traded to Denver. Signed a 5-year, $30 million contract. Signed a 6-year, $126 million extension. Then he signed a 3-year. So I gave him $189 million. So he didn't get some of that money, clearly. There must have been some funny money in there. Let's see. Joe Flacco, 6 years, $120 million. Give me a second. Let me type all that in. 6 years, $120 million. Tearing down the career. Oh my God, the funny money. Oh my God. Oh man, look at this shit here. $120.6 million, of which $52 million was guaranteed. Great point. Great point, Thomas. Sam Bradford got hurt too and got his money. He didn't live up to that contract. Great point. $120.6 million with 52 guaranteed. Look at all that funny money. So it was a team-friendly contract in essence, but the guaranteed money was on par with Drew Brees and Tom Brady. So he was paid as a top-tier QB. He was paid as a top-tier QB alongside Drew Brees and Tom Brady. Brees got 60 million guaranteed. Brady got around 60 million guaranteed in his extension. Flacco slid in right underneath them at 52 million. So he was paid as a top 3 QB. When we know damn well Joe Flacco was never a top 3 QB. I do not see Lamar winning a Super Bowl at the end of the day. It is all about winning the big game. Okay, Joshua, if it's all about that, if you want to move on from Lamar, just holla at the Ravens. They seem ready to do it. Odell be damned. If you feel Lamar's just not a Super Bowl, he doesn't have the potential to win a Super Bowl, cool. But if you think it's all about winning the big game, then you're telling me Trent Dilfer was big time. Then you're telling me Trent Dilfer was big time. You're telling me Brad Johnson was big time. You're telling me all these QBs. You're telling me Nick Foles was big time. You're telling me all these QBs who have won Super Bowls and they weren't real franchise QBs. Then that doesn't matter, right? Then that's all that matters. We're going to treat Nick Foles like he was a franchise QB just because he won, even though we all know, as the Bears have found out when they try to give him a bag, like that ain't him. Brad Johnson, that ain't him. Trent Dilfer, that ain't him. Like, I don't understand. All right, so I'm off the Flacco stuff. I'm good. Here's a quote. Mike Tannenbaum. Mel Kiper put out his 2-round mock draft, and apparently he has Hendon Hooker drafted in the first round. And with that reaction to that is Mike Tannenbaum saying, good to see you have Hendon Hooker in the first round. He'll be the best QB from this year's draft. Now, here's why, before we laugh, or before some of you laugh, here's where you have to give Mike Tannenbaum some credit. A few years ago, he jumped out on the ledge and talked about another young QB in a draft class full of top-tier QBs and proclaimed one of them, who was less heralded, to be the best of that bunch. I'm going to take you back to this tweet from earlier, right here. Mike Tannenbaum was on the record saying Justin Herbert was the best QB of this draft class. A draft class that includes Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, and others. So Tannenbaum is rolling the dice again off the momentum of saying, hey, I think Justin Herbert's the best of this bunch. And with the play of Justin Herbert, he was able to get some momentum behind him. Now he's jumping out here again saying, Hendon Hooker, he'll be the best QB from this year's draft. I'm curious to know, will they let us see this? Let's see if they will let us see this without, is this going to be an insider thing? Yeah, it's going to be an insider thing. Okay. All right, so they won't let us see it. I'm pretty sure I could dig deep there. Let's see. Okay, apparently Mel Kiper responded. Slow down there, Mike. There's a reason he's my 5th ranked QB. So he has him as his 5th ranked QB, but he still has him going in the first round. So then that means bottom of the first round, right? If we're going Stroud, Bryce Young, AR-15, Will Levis, then that means somewhere else, bottom of the first round, maybe. Maybe another Lamar thing where you're getting him at the 31st pick, 30th pick, whatever. Somebody's going to jump up and take Hendon Hooker. Is that something you guys see happening? We talked about the Packers and their cheap weapons. Cliff Kingsbury makes a move. He is back in the mix. He goes back to college, and he's joining Lincoln Riley at USC. He's going to work with the team quarterback. So if you want to recap, Kingsbury, who is part of the team that drafted Kyler Murray at number 1 overall, now will coach another potential number 1 overall pick in Caleb Williams. And here is a breakdown of Cliff Kingsbury and how he has lived such a charmed life in this sport. Kingsbury head coaching record to date. In the NFL, he is 28, 38, and 1. That is good for a 42, we round up, 43 win percentage. He has only been to the playoff once, and he lost that one game. In college, where he allegedly grew his acumen, grew his reputation, he was 35 and 30, so 5 games under. In versus the Big 12, 19 and 35. And with Patrick Mahomes, 3 games under, 13 and 16, yet this man keeps getting jobs. Job after job after job after job. What does this industry see about Cliff Kingsbury? We broke down yesterday the whole thing of Lamar Jackson versus Kirk Cousins. I'm going to try to work to put that out as a standalone clip on this channel because I think it was a really good conversation. But Cliff Kingsbury, what the hell are we doing? When you see these numbers, how does he keep getting employed? And if you want to continue, NFL shotgun usage rate by year. We're just going rapid fire here because we will be wrapping this up here. We've gone about 2 hours and 15 minutes. We could probably go another 15 minutes. So NFL shotgun usage rate by year. If you look down here at the year 2022, shotgun rate, 67% of the time, people are in shotgun. So again, we're talking about offensive lines and what matters and so on and so forth. Just 20 years ago, 13%, 14%, 14%, 14%, 13%. Now, 20 years later, because quarterbacks are getting the ball out faster, which requires less work from your offensive line and requires a more heavy dosage of having those weapons, 67% of the time they're in shotgun. I know y'all are going back and forth crazy in the chat, so I'll let y'all do that. But I'm just trying to make sure because there is some good information I want y'all to be able to check out. So the shotgun usage rate by year, in 2000, it was only 13%. Heading into 2023, it is 67% of the time. So we had a conversation earlier about which is more important, O-line versus whatever. If you're in shotgun, that makes the offensive line's job that much easier. So if you're in shotgun 67% of the time, I mean, you tell me. And since everything is about QBs in this upcoming draft, this is one person's breakdown. They work for Sharp Football Analysis. Used to be with Stats and Info, Bleacher Report, so on and so forth. Covers NFL draft since 2004. So, I'm trying to give y'all different perspectives, not the usual Mel Kiper, McShay, all that stuff, but some different guys, some younger guys. CJ Stroud is his QB1. He has all the tools you could want, and his processing, though not quite on Young's level, is well developed. Bryce Young is his QB2. Gave him a higher floor than Stroud because he's more developed in terms of seeing the field, but the arm and physical build set a lower ceiling. Really tough call between QB3 and QB4, but I've got Will Levis marginally higher. Interesting, right? Then we got AR-15, and of course that means Anthony Richardson lands at QB4. Really high ceiling, but by far lowest floor of the group. He's saying there's a big drop-off from QB4 to QB5 in my rankings, but I do think Hendon Hooker has starter potential. Okay. So those are his top five. He has his top five in pretty much the same order as the five we've been seeing, except for Will Levis over Anthony Richardson. And you see here, I like that he puts good fit. Teams whose system, if you draft him, he has a good fit for. Commanders, Seahawks, Falcons, Buccaneers, Titans. I like that. I like that little addition there. AR-15, Vikings, Seattle, Detroit, Atlanta, Raiders. I like all of those except Minnesota. I don't know if he's a fit in Minnesota, but he's a scout, not me. Will Levis, Tampa Bay, Vikings, Tennessee, Houston, the Colts. Bryce Young, Falcons, Lions, Colts. I mean, all the teams, right? Yeah, all the teams for CJ Stroud as well. Interesting here. Good stuff. Good information. I like information. And if you're into later round picks, Clayton Tune out of Houston. And I don't see a huge gap between him and Hendon Hooker. So that's interesting. He does not see a lot of difference or a big gap between Hendon Hooker and Clayton Tune. Alex, I like Levis, but I am a Kentucky fan. See, here's the thing, right? You see, Alex, I like that piece of it. You give us your bias up front. So we know to take the analysis with a measure of, oh, okay, but he's a Kentucky guy. That doesn't diminish it. It just puts it in proper perspective. Like we spoke about earlier, I wish these owners and GMs would do the same thing. Appreciate that comment. Transparency, nothing wrong with it. Yeah, just getting into all these QBs. Good information there. And this story here ties into the whole YouTube thing. If you're going to be watching Sunday Ticket or Red Zone on YouTube TV, just understand that YouTube TV was 54 seconds behind real time for the Super Bowl. So that's a minute behind. So not sure the delay for a regular Sunday afternoon during next NFL season. I can tell you for broadcast TV, the delay is anywhere between 8 seconds and 25 seconds, depending on the network. 54 seconds is a huge delay. That's huge. And you see here with satellite TV, the latency was 24 to 30 seconds. Yeah, broadcast TV, because I work for broadcast TV, it was less than that. It was about 8 seconds to 25 seconds. Yeah, so you see here on this you see here, Fox was 23 seconds, DirecTV 57. Oof, these are some big delays. Wow. And here's the funny thing, right? I'm not going to tell y'all where to stream, but even though these were the Super Bowl delays, I can tell you I watched the Super Bowl through nefarious means, and my stream was delayed closer to Fox Sports. It was not a minute delay or, minute delay it was not. It was less than that. Like, it was not real time, but it was close. It was more like 30 seconds behind. Yeah, Alex, Alex is saying I'm not afraid to say I have a bias towards certain players. I think that's all of us, though. See, that's the thing. Like, if people could just admit that, and bias goes both ways. Bias towards people that you like and bias towards people that you don't like. And just say that and stand on it. I have players I don't like. I can say that. I can sit here and say, Josh Allen is a guy I'm not fond of. And to me, it's more so of the hype to what Joshua's been talking about in terms of big city. Buffalo's not a big city, but there's been a lot of national hype around what Josh Allen is, what his ceiling is, and so on and so forth. When, to me, as someone that has watched the game and has been in and around the game, has watched games from the sidelines, what I've seen from Josh Allen pre-Stephon Diggs and with Stephon Diggs is two totally different dudes. So the narratives around Josh Allen in terms of how he's gotten so much better, when you can see a clear, remarkable jump with just the addition of giving him a bona fide number one, top 3, top 5 receiver in Stephon Diggs, that to me, I have a bias against Josh Allen when people try to tell me of how great Josh Allen is, because I remember Josh Allen before Stephon Diggs. Most people are choosing not to. So I can admit when I have a bias, but it's not a bias like I don't like him just because I don't like him. It's like I don't like the positive, the overwhelmingly positive press that he's been given without giving proper credit to his improvement. That's my bias. I can tell you that. Boogie Down in the house. What's good, Boogie Down? Oh man, we've been rolling. We've been rolling here, man. 2.5 hours in, bro. We've been rolling, man. We got some new subs and all that. We good, man. Everything's been good over here. All good, all good. Glad you was able to pull up live. Glad you was able to pull up. I referenced you. Tonga was in here for a little bit. Joshua's been on one. It's been Joshua versus the chat today. It's been Joshua versus the chat. And it's not even supposed to be that, to be quite honest. It's not even supposed to be that. Like, Joshua has his points. We're giving him the space to get his points off, and he's explaining himself. And, we can all disagree, or we can, try to build forward. Joshua has his points. He's standing 10 toes down. It's all good. Let's see, where else are we at here? Oh, yes. I guess we can kind of begin to wrap slowly. The Chicago Bears have more draft capital than they've had in the last 20 years. The roster has a lot of holes, and Ryan Poles needs to help his QB stay upright. Last year, Justin Fields' 14.7 sack rate set an NFL record. And so we go by the draft value. And again, as a former Bear fan, I can tell you a lot of these draft picks that the Bears had was not capitalized upon in terms of the value that they've gotten on their return. The Bears have had a very bad draft history, and none more so worse than just a few years ago. Let me take you back to 2017. In 2017, the Bears really traded away the picks used to draft Fred Warner, Alvin Kamara, and Tedrick Thompson, in addition to passing on Patrick Mahomes, all just to move up and draft Mitch Trubisky. That was a thing that happened. And you'll wonder why I'm not a fan of that team anymore. Now, I stopped being a fan before that, but this was like, making sure that the grave was like the plot was like 18 feet deep, not 6 feet. I put that fandom 18 feet deep after this. After that draft day trade debacle. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But now, with Ryan Poles, who's had an active offseason and was able to flip the number 1 pick into DJ Moore and still retain a top 10 pick to improve this team. If you look at the big board for the Bears, or the full order for the Bears, I should say. So they got the 1 first. Then I believe they have 2 seconds or 3 seconds. They have 2 late seconds. They have a third, 1/3, 1/3, and then 2/4. 2/4, 2/5. 2/7. So the Bears have a lot, right? And the Bears still have a lot of needs. I would not be stunned if they even trade down from 9. I would trade down from 9 unless Jalen Carter's there. But if now there's a lot of reports of Jalen Carter to Seattle. I think the Seahawks are in such a great position because even if someone trades up to 3 to get the Cardinals out of there, they're probably doing it to take a quarterback, which means it's going to be the top 4 are going to be all quarterbacks, which means the Seahawks will be sitting there to take whatever defensive player they want at 5. And then they could potentially even trade back and get more collateral. But I think if it works that way and they get all 4 QBs off the board, 1, 2, 3, 4, straight up, they're sitting there at 5. It's lovely. Take whoever they want. They could go Will Anderson. They could go Tyree. They could go Jalen Carter, whoever they want. The Seahawks and Lions benefit the most if there's a run on QBs. All right. We have reached the 2.5 hour mark. I think that's where I will bid y'all adieu. Let me just do one quick check of the timeline, make sure I'm not missing anything. Don't like to end the stream and then refresh and then see something that we could have definitely talked about. Here's something. We talked about this like 2 weeks ago, though. The Texans are in the lock to take a QB with the 2nd overall pick. The bluest of blue check boys, Adam Schefter, shares on NFL Live. I am not convinced yet that they're going to take a quarterback, but we spoke about that like 2 weeks ago. So, here's the thing, right? You're going to learn on this stream that I'm going to be reporting stuff. I'm going to be like telling y'all stuff, and we're going to have these conversations, and we're going to be talking about these stories, and then it's going to get to the main media weeks after the fact. So just be prepared for that, because that story, we literally, like Peter King put that out here like 2 weeks ago, and we talked about it in real time 2 weeks ago. And now here's your guy with all the sources now on the 4-letter network saying, oh, I'm not convinced yet they're going to take a quarterback. When, dogs, we talked about that weeks ago. We off that. But that's the difference. When you're not just sitting at home waiting for people on the 4-letter network to tell you everything, and you have have diversity in your media consumption, you come to a stream like this where you can look at me and tell I'm going to give you diversity of opinions. Like, this is what this stream is for. The 4-letter network is giving you information that I gave y'all 2 weeks ago. Because I do the research, I look for the information, I look for the stories, and I tap into people that I know are credible. We had that information 2 weeks ago. So Adam Schefter is getting paid millions of dollars for something that we were able to find and navigate and have whole ass discussions about 2 weeks ago. But it is what it is. And that's why you should subscribe to this channel, because I keep y'all ahead of the bluest of blue check boys. Okay, update. Alexandra will be happy about this. I don't think she's still here, but she'll be happy about this. The Bucs have zero intention to trade linebacker Devin White. Despite his trade request, White is due to make $11 million in 2023 under the 5th-year option. Okay. So we're giving out the latest tea before we call it a night. Skip that. That's copyright. Skip that. Copyright. Yep. So just the Devin White stuff. I will check a few more websites just to make sure. Because Dove is good, but there's other people that I check in on with as well. Nope. Nope. Okay. One last check. Ooh, I think I'm gonna save that one for tomorrow. There's some good tea there, but I'm gonna wait until tomorrow for that. Some good information about Deshaun Watson and just how bad his season was. There's also some good information about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but we're gonna save that for tomorrow. All right, so look, I see all of y'all in the chat. I like to thank all of y'all for pulling up. You guys have been great and pushing this channel forward. Thank you for those who were able to subscribe today. All good. If you comment and check in for a few minutes and then you're not digging it, it's all good. Appreciate you regardless. Appreciate growing this channel, building the brand up, logging the minutes, logging the hours, bringing y'all consistent streams and delivering information. So I appreciate all of y'all still here. One last check of the timeline. Seems like we're clear. So for Timeline T, I am the Sam D, a.k.a. Sinduzme Jr. I will check y'all tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. Peace.